Welcome to The Corner, La Source's digital show dedicated to the sport and entertainment industry. Every 2 weeks, we invite a professional to share their experience, background, and challenges. The sport industry moves fast, and having their insights is the best way to keep up to speed. Welcome to The Corner.
I guess at Noise, the way we approach strategy is always changing depending on the client, their problem, what they actually need, what their business goals might be. So that will change how we approach it. I guess at Noise, like the term strategy we use for the effort, the research, the planning that goes behind the brand, the personality of the brand, the communication. So for us, strategy is all about getting to the bottom of the problem we're actually solving, the user we're solving it for, and the business goals we're trying to achieve. And I think like our role as strategists to help the clients, it's a lot about listening to companies or figuring out what they want in a really down-to-earth way. So often we're kind of drawing out the personality and the ideas behind a brand that's always sitting there that maybe the client just hasn't quite figured out the words to use for it or the way to express themselves yet. So our kind of job is to draw that out. So yeah, looking at the things that are left unsaid, reading between the lines, and figuring out how to position different businesses and brands, and ultimately putting a strategy together that can help them grow to the next 10 to 20, however many years. So yeah, I guess what we do, it's more of a deep dive. We get like really knee deep into the ins and outs of a brand and its world. We do market research, as you said, user testing, lots of conversations with users. We do interviews, brand workshops with like the founders or even kind of people that are employees that are working at the company, depending on its size. I think then only by kind of doing all that research and really kind of getting involved in the brand can we find a meaningful difference that really works for the client and start generating creative solutions. So we would believe developing that solid strategy at the beginning is where the magic can happen on the creative process afterwards.
For me, I have one, I don't know if it's a comment or questions, but both of you just mentioned a bit like clearly, and especially when you're working with early stage startups, so with limited founders, usually they come from the dev work. I mean, they come from the back end, the technology behind it, and they are usually the one coding and putting the things or the machinery together, but they usually don't know or don't understand or don't see the value in terms of how you position your product, what kind of not brand or how does it resonate? How do you put your value proposition outside to a certain market? How do you define your customer segment? So for this pre-seed or even seed, I would say companies, usually they tend to forget it. And I think Ida, you referred to it as well. So for you, how is Noise helping out them? Or it seems like you are bringing on this kind of other component in terms of showcasing this value to them or in terms of putting them in the right direction. Is that correct? Or
yeah, we have so again, before going into coding, we do think it's important to lay the foundation, and you can do that quite like an essential foundation, or you can go much more deep into it. So we before coding, we think it's important that you spend some time looking at your strategy and market position, then doing the brand, then doing the visual identity, and then doing the coding. When we work with limited funding, we do like a more high level workshop. Maybe we spend an hour together with our strategist every day, really just pick the brain and help coming up with some ideas or solutions. Then we go into essential branding. It's very important to have a good logo and visual identity that stands you apart, that you can roll out to all your social platforms and everything you're doing, and not just doing the app so that the customer can recognize you again and again. So we do we try to do this, keep the same process and keep the same stages, but maybe minimize them or have them more really the essentials. And then if the founder or startup get funding, you can always go back and do a revamp or refresh or add to your visual identity, or even like spend more time on the strategy. There's also a lot of stuff you can do upfront. You don't have to go to an agency. You can Google online like strategy workshops or like market positioning or research. So a lot of stuff. Sometimes we just recommend like do this exercise with your team and come back to us. Or we try to like bootstrap kind of the processes we're doing if they have budget limitations.
I'm sorry to jump in again, Dave.
Go ahead.
And asking too many questions, but what is the most common mistakes you see? I mean, that's really, at La Source, we work with startups as well. We try, and we've been working anyway for the past years with different startups. It's always good and interesting to hear other perspective and how people see the startup ecosystem, the tech ecosystem, and what is the most common, I don't know if it's mistakes, but if we have some entrepreneurs or people either launching or even doing a Series A or Series B, what would be the main advice, or what for you, Ida and Sophie, what are the most common mistakes you see and how you would address them quite quickly?
I think it's the same for like entrepreneurs and startups. I think it's a little bit like spend some time thinking about the strategy and visual identity before you go into coding. You don't have to do a lot, but it's kind of like, if you would compare it to another industry, it's kind of like starting to build your house without even drawing it up yourself, or like talking to an architect. You don't want to just like start building or like start hammering. So you can either do it yourself, like try to draw a little bit or think about it. And for like small, medium size, we can like brand development and having a brand and having like giving the end user the same experience on all your platforms, and have like a good story and tell that story well. We think it's not the biggest mistake, but like the biggest advantage you can get. So if you're an entrepreneur startup, put some thoughts into strategy and why you're doing it. And if you're a small, medium size, maybe work with an agency or hire in-house someone who's like really passionate about brand and story and how to communicate it. Because we really think that's where there's like, I wonder if we're going to come into this a little bit later, but that's where we see the opportunity in sport and outdoors, like focus more on brand and story, and not just that you have a hardcore coded tech product, because that's super important as well. But it's a whole experience.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. We hope you enjoy it as much as we love creating them. If you like the episode, feel free to comment, rate, and share with people around you. You can visit our website, www.lasource.io, to learn more about our activities. You will discover a wide range of articles and can subscribe to our newsletter to receive the latest tech and sports news in your mailbox every month. Stay tuned for new episodes.
Le corner.